Hello there and welcome back. It's the beginning of a new season, and we're proud to announce that Simon Knack has graduated from the farm system to be our extra forward. But also there's been a big development with the net-minding situation. Although it's not reflected in the lineup shown here, I've decided that we can no longer keep Levi Merelainen down in the farm system. His stats and reports all show he's definitely a better goalie than Murray now, and the best thing for him is to start playing in the main lineup. At first he might not seem better than Murray, but he's still a young goalie. To make room for this, I'd send Murray down. I figured that Murray was more likely than Sogard to get through waivers, and he can help Ryan Russell develop in Belleville. I lost two right defensemen in the off-season. Ryan Murray and Zub Sunak and Bernard Docker are still around, and to bolster those two I've signed Dylan Coughlin. I'll be honest and admit that adding Coughlin was a sort of consolation prize, because I bid for Charlie McAvoy, who was the prize free agent of the off-season, but he would sign elsewhere. Coughlin will fill a void for this year, but it's a band-aid solution, and I hope to get someone better as the season goes on. Here's a proper look at both Coughlin and Knack. Knack is not destined to be a top 6 winger, instead he'll be a 3rd or 4th line grinder, but it's still cool to see a 6th round pick pan out. Okay, here's the official lineup for the first 20 games, but remember that at the last minute I demoted Murray and promoted Levi Merelainen. Now we're 20 games in, and while we're outside of a playoff spot for now, I am not concerned. Remember that the Eastern Conference is crazy good, and we're running with a rookie goalie. I'm just going to be patient. We have been hit with one injury of note, and that's Kapanen, who was injured for at least 3 weeks. While not good, it gives Knack some playing time. Merelainen is off to a slow start, but I'm sure he'll pick it up. Sogard is going to get some starts while Merelainen rests up a little. Once more, I'm trying to give Belleville some coverage too, and in a bit of a surprise they're off to a good start. Here's a look at the lineup, the icing. Now it's almost halfway into the season and we are in a playoff spot. And I really am trying to remember about Belleville, especially since they insist on doing so well this season. Lindekranz here might actually be ready for promotion. Although I don't think his ceiling is much higher, he's rocketed up the depth chart. I'll get into player stats in a moment, but here's the lineup going into the next half of the season. Once again, it's time to lock up staff to new deals and also sign our prospects. For prospects, Arsenault is up first, and I'll be keeping him around a little while longer. Fredriksson seems to be my best right defensive prospect, so of course he stays. But Center Kuznetsov here has regressed a little, and that's disappointing after I decided to keep him over someone else after last season. I'll have to think about what to do with him. Privitera still has much potential, so he's sticking around. Richer is my top-ranked prospect, and of course, I'm not letting that go. And for unsigned prospects, I've got some really intriguing defensemen to lock up. I'd also do a bit of a culling and remove some failed prospects from the reserve list. Here's one of those two defensemen that I consider the prize of this signing class. And here's the other. For forward prospects, it might be Dorowich here that's the most promising. We're now at the trade deadline and sitting comfortably in a playoff spot. I decided we're buying this deadline, so I sent out this blast to all other general managers. I need the best first pairing right defenseman anyone's willing to sell me. All my draft picks and any prospects, our prospects on reserve list, are potentially available. Grieg, Formanton and Knack are potentially available off main roster, maybe even Sogard too. Looking to make a big move here and find Chabot a worthy partner for the playoffs. Throughout the day I'd get some responses, but only a couple of guys really got my interest. Carolina would offer me Brett Pess but is asking a lot, that being Sogard and Dorowich along with picks. Meanwhile the Rangers are willing to discuss Adam Fox, who might actually be worth that package. They like Dorowich too, but are not asking for Sogard too at the same time, at least not yet. They also only want one pick. The trade deadline is going to be a long night. I do have a couple of other options that I can look at too, while you're all checking out the goalie stats. As negotiations continue, here's what's going on with Belleville. Here's the team report to show you how the game ranks my prospects. And barring a trade, here's the lineup for the final stretch of the season. Here's another option, but it's unusual. He's a defensive defenseman. Yes, the kind I've previously told you all to ignore. But he seems to work well and is notably listed as a finesse defensive defenseman, so maybe that's why he doesn't suck. He should be cheaper than either Pes or Fox, but I'm still waiting for news on those fronts. This guy's another option, but I'm not sure if he's that much better than Coughlin. And since I'm still waiting, here's a look at Pes. And here's Fox, who is the one I'm going for, but I know that I'm not the only one asking about him. In the end, Fox would go to Carolina for 2 prospects. Although I believe I could have beaten it, the Rangers manager was locked in on those guys and stuck to that, so I'm just gonna compare Dorowicz to them both, and let you all decide. Now remember that although Dorowicz is the only name the Rangers and I discussed, I did make it clear to them that I was not opposed to adding another prospect, and that they'd have full access to the cupboard, but also that I was not opposed to adding picks to the deal either. But when this fell through, I decided the other options weren't the big leap in talent that I was seeking, and decided to just stick with what I already got. This ends the video, and next time I'll show the end of season standings and get the draft and playoffs underway. Thank you for watching.